Happy Monday. I hope my audio is coming in good. You guys see I am starting work fairly early. I was listening to Dr. Boyce Watkins and like Kevin Samuels and a lot of other speakers. I respect their opinion. He did say one thing about he gave an episode, or I'm sorry, he gave an example of him being bullied, and he kind of equated that to what happened in slavery, where the black people have got to be ready to fight. And here's the thing about that. Here's the thing about that. See, we keep thinking about slavery from the standpoint of in America. We keep thinking about slavery from the standpoint of in America. It's like Kanye West said. He was like, "Y'all chose to be slaves." No, we didn't. No, we didn't. In order to become a slave, you've already got to be somebody else's property. You've already got to be somebody, and it's kind of like when the slaves got here to America. If you were enslaved in America, you can go from one slave owner, get this, to being sold to the next slave owner, and you would take on that slave owner's name, and thus your name would change. See, we keep thinking about slavery we keep thinking about slavery from the standpoint of America. We need to think about what happened before the slaves got to America. Everybody that's listening to this, number one, I'm going to pause this to say, if you like this information I'm giving you, don't forget to like, subscribe, dislike it if you don't like it or agree with it. Let me know where I'm falling off wrong. But like, subscribe, unlike it, hit the bell notification, share it, do all that good stuff. Let me know that you're listening. But we've got to think about slavery before it got to the Americas. Going all the way back to the slave or the Gold Coast in Africa. What happened there? If you're interested in what happened there, read a book called From Babylon to Timbuktu. I don't have the author, but that is the name of the book, and it's going to give you a clear picture about what happened to it's going to give you a clear picture about how we became enslaved here in America. Go back to the Gold Coast. Go back to all the way there to figure out how we got here. It's not the fact that we just threw up our hands and been like, "Hey, we gonna get on a boat," and we want to be enslaved and be treated this way. Also go back to the manufacturing of slave ships. Figure out when the first slave ship actually was manufactured in the U.S. Because there were other slave ships. Go all the way. Don't just look at it from the standpoint of American slavery when we got here. Keep in mind, a lot of people here, why we didn't fight, because they were born into slavery. We started being bred like cattle, like livestock, like animals. It's kind of like if you got dogs at home, and I'm going to equate it like this, and you looking at the dogs, puppies, and be like, "Hey, you could be free." Technically, they can't be free. They wasn't born into the wild. They wasn't born domesticated. They were born domesticated. They were born into that. So, however, if you decide to feed that dog once a day, that dog gonna be fed once a day. Whether you want to decide to, "Hey, I'm gonna get this dog up for adoption," pet adoption. Keep this in mind. It's the difference when you're born into it. It's kind of like if you were looking at the people in jail and saying to the people in jail, "Hey, why don't you guys fight? Why don't you guys fight?" Now, keep in mind the prison system. I don't agree with the prison system. Don't agree with it at all. It does not rehabilitate. A little bit about me is I've been locked up before. I haven't been in the penitentiary, let's say that, but I've been in some counties for some extended stays many moons ago. We're talking about decades ago. And you folding socks and you folding drawers and you keeping that facility running well. And other than Cook County, aside from Cook County, Chicago, if you look at some of the lake counties, there are some very beautiful facilities. And inside that house, there's them slaves. You don't even get a name. You get a number and what block you from. You are property of the state. And that state decides whether you can become a yes sir, a trustee, and you get a little bit more free time, and they decide, okay, we're gonna pay you 35 cents a day or an hour. Think about that. And it's like those people saying, hey, don't y'all know y'all could be free? It's like, no, they really can't be free. If they were even to have a child in that setting, that child can't be free because that child is behind bars. It is now a ward or a property of the state. Hold on for one moment. I'm going to set this down real quick. So, as far as this nonsense about either we were born into slavery or, the Indians' fault, because the Indians was free. The Indians were free. The European white men came to this land and they were already free. And we keep forgetting, okay, it's like, okay, yeah, the Indians' fault. We have to look at everything. Get a small teeth check to make sure the teeth are still straight. Anyway, side note, we have to do everything to look at, what the Indians were stacked up against. The Indians were free. But keep this in mind, when the European white men came over here, they brought, number one, a lot of sicknesses. They brought a lot of sicknesses, and you're gonna be like, what? Sicknesses, yeah. If you look at living in the 1800s, people were only bathing once a week. If you were looking at A, B, C, and D, as far as dental work, I believe that began back with the Egyptians. The European white male did not have those standards of living. They had to learn that from the Africans, from from the Native Americans. They had to learn all these things. So the Indians, number one, were killed off by sickness. Number two, they were also killed off by what? Guess what we didn't have? And also keep this in mind. Guess what was also taken over to Africa? Guns. Guns. We did not have guns. The Indians didn't have guns. They had arrows. They had all these things, and I'm quite sure when somebody showed them the fire stick, yeah, there was probably some Indians, a lot of Indians and Native Americans traded over into slavery too, that were already enslaved, that might have been already captured by other tribes. Same thing, same thing. One tribe catches another tribe. Look at all these 300 BCs that give a picture of that. This is how it's like, oh, the blacks sold each other into slavery. No. Blacks did not sell. It wasn't like me selling my family member into slavery. You go over to Africa, we are 200 distinct tribes. Over 200 distinct languages. You got the Sudanese, you got the Congolese, you got so many different people. The people from Nigeria. Look at it. All of those are different people. We just happen to all be black. Different hair types. I got curly hair. Somebody may have different type of hair. Egyptians. And you have to look at the history. Oh, I'm from Egypt. No, somebody was like, you look like you part Egyptian. No, I'm not. I said that if you look at what happened to the Egyptians, the black people were actually, pharaohs were darker than me. That's how we began. If you read that book, From Babylon to Timbuktu, you'll understand the different dynasties that Egypt went through. And along with these different dynasties came intermingling of people. If you go all the way back to Moses' day, Moses was probably looking as black as the rest of the black people that were already there. He just might have had a different bone structure. A little bit different bone structure. The language was a little bit different, where you can tell, like if you look at me, some people, if I go to Puerto Rico, Puerto Ricans know I'm not them. With all my curly hair and skin, they look at my bone structure and they say, well, he might be, they throw me with the Dominicans and the Cubans. And if I go over there, Dominicans and the Cubans throw me with the African Americans or somebody else. Even though we're the same, the people from that land know you're not from there. So keep this in mind. No, it's not the fact that we just decide to set down our arms and we couldn't fight, or we didn't fight, or like Kanye West said, we chose to be slaves. We were already somebody. Those slaves were already somebody else's property through war. If you go back into Africa around that time, there was a lot of religious war going on. You look at basically what's going on today. Muslims versus I wouldn't even say Christianity, because it's not them. It's Judaism going on over there. You look at that fighting, and one religious sect took over another, and just do the intense history. And once you do the history, you'll find out exactly why we're in the condition that we are in today. Why we can't gather as a people today, number one, is because if you're black, you're not even looked at, and this is my opinion, you're not even looked at as being American, because we don't look at each other as being American first. That's my opinion. Hate it or love it. Hate it or love it. But here's the thing, we can't look at ourselves as being proud Americans because we're not united as a people. We're not united as a people because of the breakdown of the family. I think T.D. Jakes put something on his website, or not his website, and I didn't hear what he said, but I saw the caption, and it was like, we are training our black women to be men, saying that you don't need no man. You're going to get out there and get the bag on your own. You're going to get there. Women need men. Women need men just as much as men need a strong woman to help build that family while that brother's out there working in the field, bringing that money home, saying, hey, turn my dollar into $2. Be prosperous. Be virtuous like the Bible says. Our backs are meant for work. Your backs aren't. So let me get this work in, but raise my family. Blah, blah, blah. There's specific examples in the Bible saying how we should act towards our wives, people. And here's the thing. We don't have this going on today for a number of reasons. The LGBTQ agenda. It is the destruction, I'm going to say it, it's the destruction of the family. And you're going to be like, no, well, we're gay and we could build a family. Not naturally. Not freaking naturally. Not unless, and you got to look at the stuff we have today. Y'all couldn't do that back in the day. In vitro, adoption might have been hard. I said they couldn't do this back in the day. And here's the thing, not to say that two gay people can't raise a child, but the dynamics are going to be really different inside of a heterosexual relationship. The observations are going to be different because you have two of the same sexes. Two of the same sexes. It's not meant to be that way. Paul in the Bible even said that, hey, when people say, well, say in some, I hate using Africa, because they start to talk about people being the Bushmen, which were the original people that we've discovered. But anyway, Paul says, let's use the Indians. Well, Jesus Christ, did he have a chance to talk to the Indians that were here in the Americas, and how did they get the gospel spread to them around that time? Paul says that by the natural order of things. Read the Bible. Read the Bible. There's a lot of things taken out of the Bible. There's a lot of good things left in. But mankind, by the natural order of things, can look around and attest that there is a God, a supreme God. You look up and you see a male and a female. Let's use ducks, how they mate for life. Blah blah blah. You don't see. He said that's just the natural order. The natural order. Now keep in mind, you heard the saying that God is not an author of confusion. It's not. So when you see this natural process, this natural mother nature being messed with, guess what? God is not in that. God is not in that. Even if you look at what's going on with the world right now, I said to myself, I said, man, if you look at what's going on in Revelations, I said, mankind and its greed, Elon Musk trying to reach the stars and and them doing all this experimentation. The same stuff was going on in Noah's day. All of this experimentation. And this wisdom, check this out. This wisdom wasn't just inspired by man. That wisdom wasn't inspired by mankind. Read the book. Go back to Genesis chapter 6. Check out the book of Enoch. I said all this stuff of how did man learn how to build these weapons and do all that stuff. I said that wasn't mankind. Look at the planet of the apes. You look at the planet of the apes. There's a natural order of things, but these apes just didn't want to take over the planet. Something was messed with. Genetically, there was people doing experimentations to brains, and I say that's not natural. Anyway, I'm gonna just leave you guys with that. Have a happy Monday. I'm out here doing what I do. That's called work. Peace.